I wanted to make a quick comparison between an SNS oil filter for Evolution Big Twins and Sportsters and another filter, in this case, for Toyotas. So let's start with the Toyota filter. Here's the faceplate. In the back you see the anti-drainback valve. Here's the filter element itself. The filter element has a pretty sturdy standpipe. And then at the back there's a bypass valve or a pressure relief valve. Goes in like this. And this element itself is kind of a leaf spring, so it actually provides a little bit of preload of the filter element against the faceplate. This is the SNS filter faceplate. As you can see, there's no anti-drainback valve at all. Here's the filter element. The filter element is completely sealed on the back as opposed to the Toyota one. Let me show you again. So the Toyota element has the bypass valve at the back. Disregard these holes, these were made when I was removing the filter, but this filter is completely sealed at the back, and there's also a spring, again preloading the filter element against the faceplate. So the major difference between these two filters is the fact that the bypass valve on the Toyota filter is at the back of the filter, and the bypass valve on the SNS filter is at the front. And so what this type of bypass valve is a direct bypass, which means that, for example, on a Toyota filter, let's say that the filter medium gets completely clogged. Eventually, this valve will open and allow unfiltered oil to go through the center of the filter to the motor. And that's a good thing, because dirty oil is better than no oil. However, there's a problem, because all these contaminants that are trapped in here, and sometimes in some cases they're not embedded in the filter medium, but they're kind of floating around, they're going to go directly into the motor. Now, this design avoids that, because, let me pull this out. So this is the pressure relief or bypass valve. So hopefully you can see this. So this bypass element has kind of the front portion, and you can see that there's a gasket between the front portion and the rear portion, which is preloaded against the front portion with a spring. So as oil pressure increases, what happens is the rear portion, let's see if I can show this, begins to move backward relative to the front portion. So the oil can now flow into these holes and out through this orifice, which means that the oil will not wash over. Like in this particular case, the oil is going to wash over all the debris and get into the motor. And in this particular case, the oil is just going to go in and out. It does not go over these pleats. That's the major advantage of this filter here. Another thing I've noticed is that even though there's kind of a metal-on-metal seal between the bypass element and the front plate of this filter, the seal is very good. It's a seamless construction, and I was not able to actually, by pressurizing this interface, I was not able to pass the liquid through. So it's a good seal, as opposed to the Toyota filter, and let me show you why. You essentially have this very thin edge of the standpipe that's trying to seal against this flat area of the bypass element. And not only that, but there's a seam here. It's an open seam. So oil is much more likely to go through this joint here than through this joint here. So this filter in all likelihood is bypassing in that area, in that junction all the time, which is not really a good thing. Now, the one advantage I see for the Toyota filter as opposed to the SNS filter is that it's kind of an open design. So as I explained in my previous videos about Toyota filters, these joints are sealed, but so oil can't just get through here and come out here. So you're not going to have dirty oil passing through the oil filter. But as the oil is introduced to the faceplate, it can actually flow through these openings here, and it's kind of a free-flowing design as opposed to the SNS design where, as you can see, when oil gets through the faceplate, through these holes, it immediately encounters an obstruction here and has to kind of make its way into this small opening. So in this respect, this filter does not flow as well as the Toyota filter does. However, because it does not have the anti-drainback valve that the Toyota filter has, and you can see that it takes a little bit of force to overcome this resistance. So this filter does not have that, so in that respect, it's a much more free-flowing design.